guys! I have something very special to share with you today. I was pretty MIA last week, but I've been working on something very near and dear to my heart. It's been a long time in the making, but I'm finally ready to show you guys my studio space. Before I get around to showing you my workspace, I definitely want to start out by saying that you do not need an entire watercolor setup to get started. You basically just need some paints and brushes. I'm going to go into detail about my setup in this video, and I want to recognize that it is a privilege to have. I started watercolor about 6 months ago, and now I can't imagine ever not doing it. I begun my journey by starting an Instagram account. I'll put a handle on the screen here so you can go check it out if you're interested. Starting this YouTube channel with some affiliate links, selling my artwork on Etsy, and launching my Patreon. I've earned a small amount of money doing these things, and it has obviously gone back into my watercolor supplies, but the rest of this has been purchased with my own money or gifted to me. I'm super grateful to have this space where I can be creative and passionate. I don't think that I've talked much about my personal life, but I'm a retail pharmacist living in Texas, and at the time of planning this video, Texas is up to about 280,000 cases of COVID-19. I definitely don't mean to damper the video with the sadness that comes with discussing the pandemic, but it is certainly another reason that I'm beyond thankful to have this safe haven of space where I can de-stress and not focus on the negativity of the pandemic and the difficulties that come with my profession right now. All right, let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is my desk. I purchased these two IKEA drawer units probably about a year ago. They are the standard Alex drawers, and I purchased them on sale. They currently are $79 each US, but I believe I snatched them up for $69 a piece. Also, I'm sure that most of you are aware of this, but the clearance section at the end of every IKEA is a great place to check, especially if you're not concerned about color or small dents or scratches. These drawers are super popular for a very good reason. They function well as sleek storage, and a lot of companies actually have inserts or organizers that are made to fit the dimensions of these drawers. I stained the top sitting on them. It's actually a wood slab that I found for around $18 at my local Home Depot. It measures approximately 60 by 24 inches, which gives me ample workspace and a place to set my computer to follow tutorials and vibe to some chill music. I bought some stain in red mahogany and some cheesecloth to stain it. I did also finish it off with a few coats of polyurethane-based sealant to protect the wood. It did take me a couple hours to complete it, but I do think that it was worth the result. Now, some people prefer to have their desk higher than the mentioned IKEA drawers will allow, and although I don't use them, there are some ways that I've seen individuals raise the desk surface so it sits a few inches from the drawers. That would certainly be something to check out if you'd like your work surface to be a bit taller. The last, almost permanent portion of my desk is this craft mat that I purchased from Amazon. This one is from Dale Vantage. I didn't do a lot of research on these before my purchase, but so far this one has exceeded my expectations. It wipes clean and would be durable enough to do other craft activities as it is a cutting mat. I also like to tape my watercolor paper to this instead of to my desk so that I can easily move a painting without royally screwing it up. Sometimes I'll start a painting and then realize that I want to do some video editing in this space, so I just transfer the entire mat to another surface for safekeeping. Now let's go ahead and dig into the good stuff and look in the drawers, shall we? Now, this drawer usually isn't this neat, but I may have tidied it up a bit before filming for you guys. So let's start out on the left. I have my most used drawing and sketching supplies. I would say that for the most part, I use my Pentel P205 or P207 for sketching, but I do also have a Prismacolor 211 here. Honestly, I can't even remember where this came from. I may have gotten it in a set a long time ago. My favorite pencil ever has to be the Rotring Tiki .5. Now, it's not my favorite for sketching, but this pencil, or one of its many predecessors, wrote thousands, yes, thousands of pages of notes during pharmacy school. So now it has its home here. I've used it to sign a few pieces, but it's mostly here because the space does serve as an office or regular workspace for me as well, so I like to have it close by and accessible. Now, if I went through each item in these drawers, we'd be here for a month of Sundays, but I'll try to point out some of the things that I especially enjoy using. My favorite pen for signing and doing light ink work would be the Sarasa Click .5 in black. I could talk about writing utensils forever, guys. I'm just going to stop here and move on to brushes. So over here on the right, I have my Grace Art practice brushes, which I've shown in a few other videos now, I think. They were the first brushes that I purchased, and they are so good. I genuinely still reach for them often, and I can't see the day where they're removed from my art supplies. The package I ordered came with 12. They are synthetic, they come in a variety of sizes, both flat and round, and they keep their shape well. These three things, in my opinion, make them a great starter set. Plus, they're super affordable. I got mine on Amazon for $8. I would honestly venture to say that if you have a child that's getting a bit more serious about watercolor, these would make a really nice gift. I like them a lot better than a good amount of the brushes in this drawer, including the Winsor & Newton brushes. I got them on sale at my local art supply store, the Winsor & Newton ones, and they're okay, but I sincerely think that I just enjoy using the Grace Art practice brushes a lot more. It might be because I learned on those, but anyway, that's my 2 cents. Okay, when I got a bit more serious about watercolor, I watched a lot of video footage here on YouTube and saw a lot of posts over on Instagram that really raved about the silver black velvet brushes. So I purchased a pack of 3 off of Amazon, and I really like them. I do wish that I would have purchased individually because I don't typically use the larger brush or the script liner. I do think that they would be useful for certain pieces, but I probably wouldn't have purchased them had they not come in the set. I would rather use a flat wash brush versus the larger one that came in the set, and I rarely reach for the script liner just because I like more control than it gives me. I did recently get this dagger brush by Silver Black Velvet, but I haven't had a chance to try it out yet. There are just so many Skillshare classes where you can make beautiful florals with a dagger brush, and I really wanted to try that. I have had the opportunity to try out a few Escoda brushes so far. I first grabbed a small and a medium-sized Prado, again on sale at my local art supply store. I fell in love. I actually hadn't looked into all the different types of brushes by Escoda before making the purchase, but I went home and did a lot more research after buying these. The Prado brushes are really nice for water control in my opinion. They don't hold a ton of water, but they work well as such because you can add some detail without worrying about flooding what you're working on. The next few brushes were a birthday gift, as I had mentioned in another video. Of the brushes that I was gifted, the Escoda Reserva size 8 has become a true workhorse. It holds a ton of water and it maintains its shape rather well for its softness. I later purchased a size 4 from Amazon and a travel size 6 from a seller on eBay. I'm not convinced, however, that this one is authentic. The final brushes that I got from Escoda are a size 10 and a size 16 Perla. I had heard great things about these brushes and decided to give them a try. I definitely don't doubt the quality of these brushes, but I don't reach for them very often. It might just be my painting style, but I feel that my brush collection is well-rounded enough without them. Okay, these are the last ones I'll talk about, I promise. This Da Vinci Castaneo size 2 at this particular moment is my favorite brush. Da Vinci has been very well known in the art industry for a long time, and after trying one of their brushes, I understand why. This brush and its companion in size 4 is a quill brush, and it's in a range that's classified as New Wave Synthetic. It's a great size and it's perfect for graded or flat washes on most sizes of paper. Okay, that's a lot of brush talk. I plan on making a brush comparison video in the near future, so let me know which you're most curious about. In the back of this first drawer here, I have some more things that I reach for pretty often when I paint. Oh, and I have my little water dropper bottle here that I got from Amazon. I got them in a 2-pack and they're perfect for wedding paints and half pans. So the first thing I have in here is some painter's tape. I like the traditional blue quite a bit. I used to use regular masking tape, but I found that it was too high tack and it would rip my paintings if I wasn't extremely careful. Nothing is worse than ripping the edge of a piece you worked like 12 hours on. Anyways, I have a bottle of white acrylic gouache by Liquitex. It's great for splattering on paintings and it's a good touch-up to areas that you intend to keep paper white. I have some Winsor & Newton masking fluid. I've actually only used it a few times, but it's worked really well when I have. And if you're a beginner looking for some masking fluid, I would definitely recommend the type that you can rub off when you're done. I accidentally purchased the permanent stuff at first and it did not work out for me. I'll have to experiment with that in the future perhaps, but I sold that version to someone who could make good use with it. I have a few erasers here which are essential for sketching. I have some regular erasers and I have a kneadable eraser from Faber-Castell. This one is great because it doesn't leave little eraser shavings all over your piece, and it's quite a bit gentler than the traditional erasers. Those ones can actually leave little micro tears in your textured watercolor paper, which can look gross at the end of your painting. I have a couple white jelly roll pens which work well for masking, kind of like the white gouache but with ink. Finally, I have a little pencil sharpener and some Pentel aqua brushes. These are super great for on the go and for lettering. They typically aren't my first choice when I'm working on something here, but they're really handy for packing up and taking with you. Okay guys, we made it through the first drawer. Alright, and we're moving on to the second drawer here. I like to keep my swatch book and other color referencing things in here. I have the Winsor & Newton dot card, which I am excited to show you guys. We can go ahead and swatch everything out and take a look at the entire range of colors. I also have some swatch cards that I've made and I don't have any paint on them yet, so eventually these will also go into my swatch book. The next drawer is arguably the coolest drawer of them all. It contains all of my most used paints and sparks a heckload of joy. So here we go. So in this box on the left, I have all my Daniel Smith paint tubes. Now most of these have been poured into half pans and placed into a working palette, but there are a few here that I got from eBay that I've not tried yet. As a little sneak peek, we'll be looking into one of these colors for a watercolor feature very soon. Anyways, to the right I have my Turner watercolors that I purchased on super sale from Jerry's, and finally, a set of Holbein colors. Like I said in a previous video, I would really like to do a comparison between these two paint sets, and I got my hands on some Holbein colors finally. I've heard so much about both of them, and other artists have discussed similarities, so I want to test it out for myself. Next, I have a little core palette that I received from a seller on eBay. This cute little palette has samples of all the colors in the 24 color set. I did a two-part review on these, so if you guys want to check it out, I'll link that video here. As we move back into the drawer here, I have my core high chroma set. Most of the colors in here are also in the 24 color set, so you get to see those as well in the video that I mentioned earlier. Now we're moving on to the heavy hitters as we reach to the back of the drawer. I have my Schmincke 36 half pan set, which is so beautiful, but I'm a little scared to use it because of its cost. I live here in the US, so these paints are difficult to get. I guess not really difficult, just expensive. They do have great deals over on Jackson's Art Supply online, and they ship internationally. I decided on the 36 color set because I wanted a little room to play around and select my own colors to fill the bottom row. I plan on doing a thorough review on these 36 colors as well as an updated version when I decide on what to put on that bottom row. I just want to use them well before I discuss them so I can give you an honest overview. I'm actually currently using these in a chrysanthemum tutorial right now, and they are super smooth and buttery to work with so far. I do have a few tubes of Schmincke paints here that I purchased for a ridiculously good price from a seller on eBay. I'm not sure how many of these will earn a place on my palette, but if they don't, I'll sell them or rehome them to a watercolor friend. I also was really interested in purchasing these so that I could see the difference between the Schmincke paints that have been poured into pans by the company versus the pans that I pour straight out of the tube. I'll let you guys know how that goes, of course. Next up, I have the P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolors. I really like working with these if I'm just messing around with color, making cards, or working on a piece that I know doesn't need to be light fast. That being said, these are actually dye-based, which makes them, in a sense, not really watercolors at all. Now, P.H. Martin does make their hydrous versions of these sets, which are similar to traditional watercolors. They are pigment-based and do have light fastness data available. I'm personally not sure if that information comes on the bottle or if you can find it on the web. I don't have any of the hydrous sets. I think both the Radiant Concentrated and the hydrous watercolors come in a few different sets, so I'll link those below if you guys want to check them out. Now, if you guys have ever done any projects with Let's Make Art or LMA, their watercolors are dye-based and from what I understand are super similar to these. So if you like that style of watercolor but don't want to buy their Dandelion brand, I think that's what it's called. This might be a good option for you. Okay, and the rest of this little box is kind of a mess. I have one pan of the Fine Tech Pearlescent watercolors. This one is in the shade Champagne Silver. I have very, very few glittery or sparkly watercolors, but when I got really interested in hand lettering, these were super pretty to add detail to pieces and they look amazing on black watercolor paper. I haven't used a ton of it for traditional watercolor, but I can see myself using it for details or maybe with a mixed media piece. Next up, I have my Snellier tubes. Now these I got on sale for a super good price over on Jackson's. I did look recently and they don't have them in stock anymore, but this is the Billy Joel floral sample set. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Anyways, it came with 6 of the 10 ml tubes, which if you ask me is a bit more than a sample, but I paid around $23 US for this set. Lastly, in this little miscellaneous spot here, I have a tube of Grumbacher in Rose Madder. I purchased some Winsor & Newton paints from a seller and they included this one as a bonus. I actually ended up reselling all the Winsor & Newton tubes, but I had a special place in my heart for this one and I couldn't let it go. So here it sits. Alright guys, next drawer. The first thing that I pulled out of here are my Prima watercolors. I try to keep all of them in their original boxes, but there is one here that's missing its home. The Woodlands is the one here that doesn't have its box. I found most of these on a resale site and none of them have been used, which was a really nice surprise. I also got one of these from Hobby Lobby with a 40% off coupon. I have used all but one of these so far and I'm working my way through them so that I can show you all and let you know what I think about them as a brand and as individual sets. The next little box is one of my favorite sets. This Vanilla Moon set from Aloha Studios is adorable. I'd been following Aloha Studios on Instagram for a long time and really liked the small company, so I ordered this set. This set also has an iridescent color and just let me say that the camera does not do it justice. They also sent some very generous dot samples of some popular colors. I wish I had recorded the unboxing of these because it was such a well-wrapped little gift. The order included a hand-lettered note and a local Hawaiian chocolate candy. Next up, I have the Paul Rubens set, and I actually just filmed some footage for this in a video, so I won't talk too much about it. Spoiler alert though, it's pretty cute. Okay. Moving on, I have my White Knight set. I'll leave my review of that set here so you guys can check that out. This is honestly one of my most used palettes and I've had to make a point to start using some other paints on a weekly basis because I became so comfortable with these. If you guys notice the Jackson's box in the corner, I have received the couple colors that I ordered for replacements and plan on showing you an updated palette soon. This little envelope here is from another handmade watercolor company. They are from 31 Purple Fish on Etsy. I do have a few of their paints, and in this envelope is a mystery bundle of colors. I'm not sure what colors are in here, but they're super high quality paints, and the mystery bundles, I think that's what she calls them. I'll correct it if it's not right, but they're super inexpensive. From what I understand, they're just colors that she made too much of and needs to clear the inventory. I have this Aquafine Chinese white liquid watercolor ink. I don't use it very much and prefer gouache, but it was on sale for like $2 at Hobby Lobby and I've used it once or twice. So it does come in handy for certain pieces. The next tin that I have here is just some paints that I'm testing out. Most of these are actually Magello, but there are half pans of those Snellier paints that I showed you earlier, and the last couple in the corner here are ones from 31 Purple Fish. Okay, the last palette in the drawer is my travel palette. I have my Jane Blundell Ultimate Mixing set here, and I have a few colors in here that I use pretty commonly as well. I think you guys have seen this one before, and this one I'll grab if I'm going somewhere. You know, if I'm able to sit down and paint outside, things like that. It has all the colors I would ever need for mixing, and it's nice and compact. Also, it seals, so no messy watercolor everywhere, which is truly an advantage. You don't understand until you face a moment where you have messy watercolor everywhere. I'm going to move pretty quickly through this next drawer here, but I have all my paper in the bottom drawer. It's kind of a mixed bag. My most used paper is probably the Arches Cold Press watercolor paper. I've been able to use my 40% off coupon at my local Hobby Lobby to get it. I've heard that not all locations carry this paper, so just make sure you check before you go. I've also ordered it in the past from Jackson's. I believe their prices are pretty reasonable if you're a beginner. I can't really stress the importance of watercolor paper enough. Get the best paper that you can afford. Skimp on the brushes, skimp on the paint if you have to. Paper is really going to change the way you paint and can impact how you learn to paint. I would also recommend starting out with something cold pressed and 100% cotton if you can. Using cold press gives you a feel for texture without it becoming frustrating, and 100% cotton allows your paints to behave as they should. In most other painting formats, the paint sits on the top of the paper or canvas, but with watercolor, the paint ultimately becomes a part of the paper. That Jackson's box in the corner also contains a bunch of watercolor paper samples that we can look at together and explore, so make sure you are subscribed and that you hit that bell button so that you can be notified when we take a very close look at the paper types and brands. You'll be a paper connoisseur, I promise. I use these Strathmore Ready Cut paper packs to make my swatch cards that end up in my swatch binder, so I like to keep a few of those handy. I also have a roll of gentle painter's tape. I'm working on finishing up my blue painter's tape, but I'll let you guys know how that works for me when I get a chance to try it. I'm pretty excited to try this aqua board. I got an 8x10 to try out and see if I like it. I'm interested to see if the water will sink into the board at all or just sit on top, and I'm also not sure how framing something like this works, or even if it'll need a frame. The paper at the bottom of the drawer with the yellow cover is the Strathmore 300 series, and that's actually the only paper in the drawer that I would recommend completely staying away from. It's super flimsy, and I've ruined paintings by pulling low-tack washi tape off of it before. So steer clear of that one, or anything lower than like the 400 series Strathmore papers. I guess I do have one more thing that fits into the paper category here. Oh god. Here's where I spilled my coffee awfully close to my painting. I'm having a panic just watching it. I have this Canson cold press watercolor sketchbook. It's usually on my desk somewhere. I'll use it to swatch out colors before painting to see the colors together and for some swatching sessions that you've all seen in videos. It's super handy and not super expensive, and I don't feel too bad for using it for swatching for that reason. Before I get to the other side of my desk, I just want to show you guys around a little bit. Here's my clipboard. If you're just getting into watercolor, I would definitely recommend a clipboard. They're super nice for taping down like a 5x7, and then you can move it around to your liking, especially if you're painting something like a flower. You can adjust the angles and work your way around it. This one was 97 cents at Walmart, and I love it. I do have a few important items around my desk too. I have this picture of my grandma and I here, and I have a picture of my family over on my cart, which I'll show you guys here in just a second. I also recently was just gifted this from one of my elderly patients. She crochets and knits and said that she sees me running around the pharmacy all the time and asked me if this would help. I think it's just so cute and I cherish it. The left set of drawers I'll go through pretty quickly because a lot of it isn't super watercolor related. In this top drawer here, I have a lot of office supplies and my fancy pens that I received as gifts during pharmacy school. Guys, I really like pens. In the back of this drawer, I have some hand lettering supplies. If you're interested in hand lettering and want my recommendations, I really love the Pentel Fude Touch sign pens. You have to be really careful though because there are ones that have the flexible nib and ones that don't, so do your research. I'll link the ones with the flexible nibs that I like below so you can check them out if you want. Oh, and I have my portable hard drive in this drawer as well. I have a ton of video footage and it takes a ton of storage space. I got around to making my first few videos and realized that the internal storage of 128 gigs on my laptop was not quite enough to work with, so this greatly expands my editing abilities. In this next drawer here, I have some journaling supplies and of course the obligatory hand lotion and chapstick. I spent a lot of time here, so it's nice to have these handy. My mom got me this super cute journal set for Valentine's Day from Kiki K. I can't wait to finish out my current one and move into this one. I also keep my lighter in here for my candle. The next drawer is really a homage to office supplies. I have a 3-hole punch, lots of pencil pouches, expo markers, lots of post-it notes and papers. Oh, and this thing from IKEA. It's so stinking cute. You just unfurl it and then you can keep your little doodads in here. I have this out sometimes and it definitely vibes with the room pretty well. This next drawer is really the only one that's super watercolor related on this side of my desk. I keep most of my paintings in here. I have a lot of swatched sheets and color mixing sheets, and my very first paintings are at the bottom of this drawer. Honestly, this could be another video. I also have a few water containers in here as well. These drawers are the perfect height to hold the containers that I like. Most of the time I use empty food containers. Right now I have the Talenti ice cream containers and they work pretty well. The very final drawer here is stuff mostly for video editing. I won't bore you with too many details, but I have my lapel microphone that I use for voiceovers, and the box for my SD card, and the box my camera came in, and stuff like that. I also ordered this extra pack of windscreens for my lapel microphone because I've lost like 3 of these things already. Like I said before, I'm also exploring bullet journaling right now, and this is the journal that I'm currently using. This one is from Archer and Olive, and the owner of the company named the business after her cats, which is super cute. She has a lot of really great stationery and the like over on her website. All the stuff she designs has the best little details, like the pen loop here and the little page marker with her signature emblem on the bottom. The paper in these journals is also really thick. The company claims that you can use watercolor in them without it soaking through. I haven't tried this myself, but I can believe it. I just looked over on the Archer and Olive website, and the paper is actually 160 GSM, which is more than some watercolor paper. I really like supporting this particular company. It's woman owned, super high quality, and all of their products are 100% vegan. Archer and Olive is definitely a small business, and I would encourage everyone to go check them out and support them, and really any other small business during this crazy economic whirlwind. This video isn't sponsored or anything, I really just like the company. I also have my planner back here, which I use almost every day now. I had a very good streak going before the pandemic happened. I definitely trailed off a bit in April and May because I couldn't really meet some of my daily goals like going to the gym, and I honestly didn't have a lot of appointments to write in it. Anyways, I picked it back up in June with some more realistic daily and monthly goals given the situation. It definitely helps me to stay organized, and I like the format of the day designers a lot. They format a page for every day of the year, which is super rare in the planner industry at the moment. I think only 2 or 3 companies still do that, and Day Designer is one of them. I really love the idea of physically flipping a page for a new day. It makes me feel like if the day before was crap, I have an actual blank page for the next one. This is the office chair that I'm currently using. It's not crazy special or anything, but I really like it. This one is from Smug Desk, and it's pretty simply made, attractive, and it does the job. Alright, we're on to my IKEA rag sock cart. I decided to get it in blue because this one was in the clearance section, and well, I wasn't really incredibly picky. I think they have it in a few colors over there as well. Gosh, I really could use like 5 of these in my house. They're super handy and everything is visible and accessible. On the top here, I have a cute little square photo of my family and a repurposed candle holder that I have some pens and markers in. I love these Tombow twin tone markers. I never got into their brush pens, but I really do like these. I also have a couple pens from Le Pen that I'm trying out here. So far, I really like them. They're super juicy. This cute little paper clip that's on the side here is also from Aloha Studios. I'm telling you guys, she includes all the bells and whistles in your order. I also have some fine tip drawing markers, or pens, I guess. I'm not even sure that's the right word for them. These ones are from Kuretake and they're called Millennium. They're super nice. And even if it's like an unpopular opinion, I do like them a little bit more than my Pigma Micron pens. They are pretty comparable though. Beneath that is an acrylic organizer from the Container Store. I have, some of you guessed it, pens in here. I'm just kidding, they're not all pens. I've actually been selling some of my less used supplies on some secondhand websites because I want them to be used and loved. I recognize that I have way more than I can physically use in the time I have to use them in. I would eventually like to move this acrylic organizer over to my desk and maybe put some of my palettes in it. I also have some frequently used office supplies in this top shelf of the caddy. I have my stapler and tape dispenser as well as my handy dandy calculator. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't use that much anymore. It could probably go in a drawer. The next shelf here has card making supplies and thank you cards. Whenever I get an Etsy order, I'll use these Strathmore watercolor cards to make a thank you. I also sometimes use the cards to make sets to sell. I also have some regular thank you cards and envelopes here. Like I said, I do other things and office things here, so it's nice to have those supplies available when I need them. I have a floral drawing book and an expressive watercolor painting book here on the bottom shelf. They were each under $5 at my local Hobby Lobby and I couldn't pass them up. I actually also have my certificate from the Board of Pharmacy that I should probably get framed here, but I keep forgetting. So that's what that cardboard tube is. Okay, this next section of the video will be me mostly talking about my shooting setup. So if that's something you're interested in, or if you want to set up your own art videos, definitely stick around for that. So first, let's talk about my lighting situation. For the longest time, I've been trying to work with natural light and this lamp that I got from Amazon. This one is from Tautronics, and although it's a really nice desk lamp, it just didn't provide a soft or diffuse enough light for filming videos with. I do frequently use it if I'm doing like a general task at my desk. I also really love that it has a USB port in the back so I can charge my phone while I work here. I do my weekly and monthly planning here as well, so it's really nice for those types of things. This one is also dimmable, so if I'm working in the evening, I can turn the light down and get those sleepy vibes. If you're considering making your own art videos or really any videos in general, I would definitely recommend starting out with natural light. That being said, if you can set up your workspace in front of a window, that's preferred. If I have great natural light, I'll always choose the natural light over any fancy lighting equipment. Most photographers and videographers agree, natural light will beat thousands of dollars worth of lighting equipment. Also, it's free, so. I have a really nice view of my backyard, so I tend to keep the shades open when I'm working in here, and the window actually functions as a fill light when it's nice and bright outside. Now, this next piece of equipment was honestly so worth it. It's the HPUSN softbox lighting kit. This was about $55 on Amazon, and it came with this tripod, the softbox, 2 bulbs, and a cover. I did a very good amount of YouTube video watching here before this purchase. A lot of people know a lot more about lighting and videography than me, so I leveraged their knowledge in my purchase. Also, I have a companion here. She's very tired. Before I filmed this, we went for like a 3-mile walk, so she wasn't going to move. Also, her paws are cute, so I didn't think you'd mind her guest appearance. I won't talk too much about my camera setup in this video, but if there's a lot of interest in it, I can certainly make a video about that and some of the other equipment that I use pretty frequently to make my videos. My very kind boyfriend made it for me as a birthday gift, and it is incredibly functional. He used 1/2-inch round metal tubing and connectors to create a base, and then used this multi-directional rotating arm as a mount for the camera. This mount is movable and can be connected to the sides of the base or at the top for multitudes of shooting angles. The metal beams are strong enough to hold the rotating arm, my camera, and possibly further lighting or microphone features if I should need them in the future. I could, in theory, attach my softbox to the base, but I ended up deciding against it for now due to the bulkiness of the softbox. There are a plethora of lighting options that would be compact enough to fit underneath this, some of which would even come with clamps for easy attachment to the base. I'm currently using a Canon M50 for filming. Obviously, I'm using it right now, but I can always show you guys some features shooting a video on my phone of it if there's interest for that. I really like this camera. It's easy to use. I don't know much about photography or videography at this point, so presets on the camera make it super easy. Even better though, as I become more advanced, this camera has options to change almost anything you could imagine. That way, it can function as a filming camera, but can also be useful for taking photos for special occasions, and most importantly, capturing moments with Hazel. Thank you guys for joining me today. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye!